Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Secrets of the Sire, July 12th, 2017. As always, I am your host, Michael Dolce, joined by his esteemed co-host, the Lord of the Radio, Mr. Hassan Godwin.
Good evening.
We just have like a jam-packed show. Like I just posted on Facebook.
You've been bugging me like talking about it for like an hour.
Oh yeah.
Well, I've been sitting here seething.
That's
angry.
what we kind of call this entire show. Is just bugging you the entire time. Not bucking. Not to be confused with bucking.
Yeah. Oof.
Yeah.
Okay, move on. Awkward.
Last week we kind of talked about the Wednesday being the Monday. I'm a big fan of that now. I'm a much bigger fan of the Wednesday being the Monday. Yeah.
Yeah, because Wednesday is.
Yeah.
Wednesday feels like Friday.
Oh, yeah.
And now there's 2 more days left.
Yeah.
And that blows.
Yeah. So I was telling you backstage, and I was telling everyone in the green room, if you go to patreon.com/Secrets of the Sire, audition for a commercial today.
You did.
Trying to get a free mattress. That's what it's all about.
You did it for more than that, though, right?
Oh, free mattress and like the
rush
of auditioning.
Do you
for
get
a
free mattress if you get the commercial, or do you get a mattress as a consolation for?
If I get chosen, I will be part of like a trial where I have to film myself actually being on it, and they're gonna do
being on the mattress that you're gonna win.
It's gonna be very exciting.
All right, you gotta love that mattress.
Oh God, I tried it today.
You have to make
in the
love
audition.
To
I
that
tried
mattress.
it. Well, I'll make love on the mattress.
Well, you know what I mean.
Yeah.
You know what I mean. You gotta get that. You gotta get the blood.
Sam,
going.
that's where you gotta cue like the sexy porno music. All right, we do this every Wednesday night, 8 p.m. Eastern. We talk comics, movies, TV, pop culture. We do it on talkradio.nyc. It's a live call-in show, 877-480-4120. This also gets turned into a podcast, and we're on all of the interwebs. We're on iHeartRadio. We're on iTunes. Just look up Secrets of the Sire. And as always, we stream live on the Facebook page, facebook.com/Secrets of the Sire. We love reading your comments. We love hearing your thoughts on everything we're going to talk about. And boy, do we have a lot to talk about. So
you got a couple of things.
We've got David Crow from Geek coming on.
Yes, we do.
And later on in the show, and he is going to talk Game of Thrones with us, season 7.
He is.
I know.
A crow.
Isn't that amazing?
Yeah.
Like.
Nah, I think he did that on purpose.
He must have. He must have. Like it's like when you name your kid Jeeves and he becomes a butler. You know, it's like you just know.
Yeah, you screwed your kid.
Yeah. You've set a course. You've set a course for that kid.
Yes. He's just living up to his lowered expectations.
Well, don't insult butlers. I mean, Lee Daniels.
I don't know any
butlers,
so
yeah.
Well, I'm all right. See, now you've made me self-conscious about it.
Well, now the Butler Union,
but they're after me.
Butler Justice Warriors.
They're already after me for other reasons that I don't want to go into right now.
This is true. We'll devote a special show to that. But we're going to kick it off. We got, again, I love it. I love the week after the movie comes out, right? So we got Spider-Man Homecoming.
No, can we...
Yeah.
It's a big deal now, isn't it? Spider-Man, big deal.
We talked about this last week, though.
Big kind of deal, though.
Opening weekend doesn't count. Opening weekend never counts.
You keep changing the rules.
No.
You move the goalposts.
Go listen to the podcast. Go back to the YouTube channel, youtube.com/.
I said, no, you go back.
I know.
Go back.
And you said everyone would be talking about Spider-Man. You're right. And my response to that was, let's see what the drop-off is from week to week. Let's see.
That's not fair.
But it's on there, though.
Part of what I said was right, though. We got to acknowledge that much.
I will acknowledge that, but I didn't disagree with that. I didn't disagree that everyone would be.
You disagreed with pretty much everything I said last week.
But that's what makes a good show. So
if you say so. If you say so.
No,
I'm looking for a new show. Anybody can call us on.
We'll get into the Wonder Woman comparisons in terms of like what's a bigger cultural impact, and I will acknowledge this. I think after having seen the movie, and hearing from some of our past guests. Who are industry insiders, it is definitely having a more cultural impact on a specific demographic than I anticipated, because I didn't anticipate the movie being geared specifically for this demographic. So with that, we're going to kick off our spoiler. We're going to try to keep this spoiler free as much as humanly possible.
Spoil it.
Well, in the past, we're like blatantly saying things.
It's been 5 days. Go see it. What's the matter with you people?
It has only been 5 days, hasn't it? It doesn't matter. We're still going to go. We're going to go spoiler free as much as possible. I want to give you my good, and then Hassan, I want to hear your good as well. Okay?
Oh, I didn't prepare for this.
Well, we never prepare. I mean, that would mean that there's preparation involved.
I didn't realize.
And we want to hear what you guys think too. So please let us know. Chime in on the Facebook feed. Again, you can call in and debate with us all you want. Fun movie, right? I think overall, I left feeling like the vibe was actually pretty cool. I put that in the good
Is that
column.
your best?
That's my good.
You're good?
That's my good column.
Okay.
Ironically, it also ends up in my bad column, but we'll get into that. It's a fun movie. I think Tom Holland makes a great Spider-Man. I think we're looking at teenage Spider-Man. We're looking 15-year-old Spider-Man. I think he kind of comes across and plays the part really well. I think he clearly washes away the Andrew Garfield movies, the dark persona, the dark test, the presence that those Amazing Spider-Man movies were, and I think that worked out pretty good. I thought the web slinging was really cool, and again, it kind of goes along with the vibe. Early on, Sam and we were talking. I love the opening sequence where he's fighting crime and he's being a friendly neighborhood Spider-Man and he's doing all this stuff. I thought that was awesome. I thought the vibe was just perfect for that, and it just felt great. I also love that it wasn't an origin movie. I'm glad we did not have to see Uncle Ben.
We knew it wasn't going to be that, though, pretty much.
We knew, but I got to be honest with you, they did not mention anything about his origin, with the exception of him saying he got bit by a spider to Genki/Ned Leeds. Right. Ironically, not an origin movie is also going to fall into my bad column, but we're going to get into that as well, too.
Yeah, we're going to get into a lot of things, apparently.
I think it weaved into the Marvel Universe seamlessly, right? I think having it, having the stage set that they... the movie starts with the Avengers Tower being knocked over, and then it seamlessly kind of transitions into Civil War and Spider-Man's role and his point of view of Civil War. I thought was really, really it just instantly made it cohesive and jumped together. And then finally, I think Michael Keaton might be one of the best villains in a Marvel movie in a long time. What do you think, Hassan? What's your good?
That was all your good?
That was my good. You can add to good, or you can comment on my good. It's up to you.
That was a lot of good, though. That was an incremental list right there
yes,
of
yes.
good.
That was preparation. That's what that was.
It seemed to me like you were going to mention one good thing.
Oh.
And then talk about one bad thing. That's kind of how you set it up, and then you just went on a riff.
No, we're going riff. We're going all good. We're going all good right now. I want to know you're good. I want to know why, what you thought was the shining star in this movie.
The seat that I was sitting in the theater was very comfortable.
Okay. Ironically, mine was terrible.
There wasn't a lot of sticky stuff on the floor, which I hate. I hate that.
Yeah.
I hate that.
I hear you.
There were a couple people talking behind me, but I mean that was to a minimum. That was also good.
There you go. Okay, so you expect people to be talking behind you?
People always talk behind me.
Really?
Wherever I go, there's and it's the same two
Didn't
people.
Didn't we have this conversation after a while?
Yeah. Yeah.
After a while, the problem is you.
Yeah.
It's not.
It's fine. I mean, I don't really contribute to it. I don't talk back to them.
Yeah, very true.
They just like to get behind me and talk about things that have nothing to do with what we're doing at the moment. Mm-hmm. So if we're waiting for a train, they're talking about a cab. Yeah. If we're watching a movie, they're talking about a TV show. I don't know. I don't understand what it's about.
Amazing.
Yeah, it was. I enjoyed the movie. I thought it was a solid, entertaining experience.
Sure. Like you walk away feeling good about it, right? Like at the end of the day,
I walked away. I was happy I saw it.
Yeah.
I mean, it didn't. Yeah, we're just talking about the good. So, I liked Tom Holland. I thought he was great. Marissa Tomei,
excellent.
Yeah. All the cast. The cast was really good. The kids were solid.
I didn't like Flash. I didn't love.
We're talking about my good, right?
This is very true.
Okay, thanks. Yeah, no. We hate each other.
That's what gets us the ratings, buddy.
That's a spike, rating spike.
F you.
Yeah.
10,000 downloads.
Done. Next week when they shoot one of us. The action was pretty solid.
Yeah.
I agree with you 100% about Michael Keaton.
Yeah,
but he was Batman. He was Batman.
Well, I know.
So we knew he was going to deliver.
Well, he's actually a professionally trained actor who's really, really good in pretty much everything he's in, right?
We knew he was going to give up the goods.
Yeah.
I like the reveal.
Yeah.
That was a great reveal.
I did like the reveal.
It was one of those things that were really... someone said once that whatever your reveal is has to be something surprising but obvious.
Right.
And that was a very solid...
I applaud you with the spoiler-free aspect of your description.
I applaud myself. Yeah. I don't know what we're talking about.
Well, you didn't. You didn't actually say what the reveal is, the twist.
Oh,
but you did.
You mean the fact that Michael Keaton's the mayor?
Right.
Oh,
right.
He actually J. Jonah Jameson. He eats the mayor. He swallows the mayor. It would just turn weird at that point. People started eating each other. Yeah. I don't know. I don't.
You were in the wrong theater at that point.
Yeah, I think so.
Crud.
I took this. There was this stamp. I licked the back of it. And I just ended up someplace else.
You're not supposed to do that.
Nah, look, man, it was a weekend. It was a weekend.
Yeah.
All those things were great.
Yeah.
I thought it was a solid film. I will jump the gun and say I've seen it before.
Really? Okay.
That's my only kind of issue.
I like that. See, that's...
With...
now, in what way?
It's another Spider-Man movie, and it's really good. Now, here's the thing: I was not a huge fan of the Amazing Spider-Man movies either.
Right.
I thought there was a lot of great stuff about them.
Sure,
but they weren't
executed poorly.
I don't know if they were executed poorly. I just didn't think they were necessary, and that's the worst criticism you can give a movie.
I agree,
because I don't think any movie is necessary. But in the fact that they were an obvious money grab for Sony.
Sure.
And a license renewal thing for Sony, and you could tell on its face.
Sure.
So Andrew Garfield, great actor.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think he's a great Peter Parker. And Emma Stone. I mean, those two, the two of them were kind of wasted.
Yeah.
On this, two really great actors were kind of wasted in this situation. Now, having that been said, they did try to do something with Spider-Man.
Yeah.
That was interesting. I think the Tobey Maguire movies, for all their faults...
They're the best ones.
Yes, for all their faults, covered the whole spectrum of Spider-Man, what Spider-Man is going to be on cinema.
Sure.
Right? Bad special effects or whatever. You can't really even blame it for that.
No, you
right?
can't. You can't.
Okay, so now... We're trying to get back to basics. You know, that whole idea of the back to basics, which this another thing has done that, which we've discussed deeply. And it's back to basics, and it's just not original. Back to basics means not original anymore, because he didn't really even deal with the melodrama of his love interest.
Yeah.
So he didn't struggle to be Spider-Man.
Right.
He didn't discover being Spider-Man. Right. He didn't have an issue being Spider-Man,
right.
And he didn't have a romantic.
Well, that's
situation.
actually why I said the origin is both a good and a bad for me, right? Because it was good that we didn't need to learn how to become Spider-Man again ad nauseum in a lengthy But give me something.
Watch Bruce Wayne's
give me
parents
something
get killed
here.
one more time. I'm going to have a heart attack. If I watch Martha and Wayne get shot in the face one more time, I'm going to lose my...
But you know what? You can still reference the fact that Martha got shot and reference the fact.
Yes, you can say something
and that's something they did not do in this movie, and I think there's a fault with that. And
I don't know if that's the fault.
No, I'll tell you what the fault is.
Oh, you're going to...
I will definitely tell you what the fault is. But I'll tell you, but before we get to that, let me just complete this train of thought here. I didn't need to hear him even say, with great power comes great responsibility. Tom Brevoort, Marvel editor, actually, Facebooked out, he tweeted out that it was great that we didn't hear the line. It was great that we didn't see Uncle Ben. And
we didn't really hear it in Amazing Spider-Man either.
But it wasn't great at the same time, though, because Spider-Man's character is based on guilt. There was not a shred of guilt. The penultimate scene where they actually... mirror Amazing Spider-Man 22, I think it was, the original, where he's lifting the stuff off him to get out of there.
Yeah.
He's using like a throwaway, not a throwaway line from Robert Downey Jr., but that's supposed to be a moment where he kind of summons the guilt of letting Uncle Ben get killed to motivate him to do something extraordinary, not like some rich guy being like, well, you kind of suck, so I'm going to take away your toy. That is, and we'll get more into that, and I will also give you the major flaw that ruined this movie.
Oh, all right.
You're listening to the Talking Alternative Network.
do you want to connect with?
Are you an entrepreneur or intrapreneur looking to build your following?
Welcome to our show.
Follow Me Friday with Joan
and Priya.
Tune in every Friday at noon Eastern
on talkradio.nyc.
We're your digital connectors. Woo woo! What's that?
Talking Alternative Radio, 24 hours a day.
We're going to keep it superficial.
Just the brass tacks.
We are very superficial people in general.
Well,
so we're going to stick to... Well, I'm a very superficial person.
Yeah, I'm all right.
I'm a book by the cover kind of person.
I'm a great guy. I'm not superficial at all.
Secrets of the Sire.
Welcome back to Secrets of the Sire. We do this every Wednesday, talking comics, movies, TV, pop culture. Thanks to Christina Gillen, one of our executive producers, for chiming in on the Facebook feed. Again, you go to facebook.com/Secrets of the Sire. You can comment and get some of your comments read on air. Gene Goldstein as well, doing a wonderful job chiming in. Christina Gillen was not a fan of Tom Holland.
No.
That's okay.
Yes, I know.
Nothing wrong with that. I mean, look.
Well,
I mean, you can have your opinion on that.
There's an issue.
But that's not the major flaw. So I teased it, and I want to make sure I deliver on the tease. The major flaw in this Spider-Man movie, and I thought you were going to say it, and that's what I thought was really interesting when you're saying I saw this before. Because I actually disagree. I don't think we've ever seen a Spider-Man movie with this kind of tone and this kind of difference to what the actual, typical comic book origins of the character are. I think they did do something different and create a different entity that we haven't seen before. However, I've also seen this movie before because it's called Avengers, and it was called Civil War, and it was called Captain America. I didn't need to see another Avengers movie. Essentially, we got a young Avengers movie, right? I mean,
with only one Avenger, though.
With only one Avenger, but you also had the entire, you had Captain America doing his little cameos and stuff like that. I get that he's involved in the world, but to me this never felt like a Spider-Man movie. This felt like an Iron Man training Spider-Man movie. And it does kind of touch upon the whole Uncle Ben thing. I'm glad we don't need to see Uncle Ben get killed by the mugger. We don't need to see Spider-Man guilty about it. But how come when he's arguing with Tony Stark, he doesn't mention, when Tony Stark is basically ripping him a new one for trying to do a good thing with the ferry, and obviously he screwed up. Right there, you just need to have Peter Parker say, "You have no idea how much I care about this, because my uncle was killed because I did not act." There was no semblance of... That is the core of Spider-Man.
Well, there's no comeback from that, though. The problem is that as stories go, as the art goes, the main protagonist is naive about something, and then has a come to Jesus moment, and then realizes their mistake, and then comes out of it on the other side.
Sure.
Enlightened from the experience.
Yes.
If and of course that the ferry scene was pretty much his come to Jesus moment.
Right. So I mean, okay, go ahead.
I'll get there. And I won't take long. If the retort to Tony's reprimand, hit us with a drop. If the retort to Tony's reprimand was to F you, right. I know what I'm doing. I'm emotionally tied to this whole thing, and he spewed his pathology all over the place. There's no rebuttal from that, because
you're saying Tony Stark can't. What's Tony Stark going to say to that end?
Technically, if Tony reprimands him past that, and then that means that the ultimate lesson of Spider-Man was kind of just glazed over.
Right.
The ultimate lesson of Spider-Man is I should have done something.
Right.
If Tony comes and says you shouldn't have done this, and he says I had to do it because I have to do everything, and then Tony gives him another, hits him with another level of responsibility.
Yeah.
It's A, repeating the lesson.
Sure.
But B, also, it kind of negates his uncle, because it means that he didn't learn anything from his uncle, and he's still a goofball, and it just kind of wouldn't have worked. It could have worked would have needed a deeper kind of movie. That kind of movie couldn't have taken us
that's again where I said the vibe was cool and fun and not too deep.
Right.
Was cool, and it created something new, and it washed away the Andrew Garfield. But then it also created a total flaw in the rest of the movie too. It could not get to that deep point that I think it needed to get to.
Well, that's what I was saying originally about the Garfield movies, is at least they were trying to go deeper than the Spider-Man mythology in and of itself. Right. And they were trying to broaden it.
Yeah.
They were naively trying to broaden it with a really bad storyline from the comic books, the Scarlet Spider storyline, which it's not the way to go.
No.
But they were trying to do something other than...
Sure.
You know, I mean, you can't really top the Tobey Maguire movies, whether you like Tobey or not. The movies in and of himself is... pretty much Spider-Man,
right?
That is Spider-Man in his entirety.
I agree,
his struggle and everything.
Exactly, and that's the thing. It can't top that.
No,
it can't.
You could just do more of the same of that. But this movie really had a tough.
This was like an Avengers Light movie.
Yeah, but I mean, this movie had a tough role to play because it kind of had to spark off this new franchise for the new Spider-Man.
Boy, you sound like me talking about Star Wars. Go ahead.
It kind of had to spark off the new.
He's going to smack me.
I'm dying.
Hassan is actually not a physically violent person.
I had a number of Star Wars parallels that I avoided.
Okay,
and now you've just opened the gap. Now the floodgates are open, and I really want to but I'm not gonna.
Okay.
It had to kind of reestablish everything, and unfortunately it had to tread the same ground again. And like I said, when I said I've seen it before, that's what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
I'm talking about The Force Awakens. I'm talking about this terrible gluttony of sameness that we have to keep getting hit with, and the justification is always a commercial justification.
Sure.
And we're not interested in that. We're interested in the artistic value of whatever we've paid to go see, and I don't want to hear someone says, well, they had to do this because you got to understand that blah blah blah. I don't really care about the studio's plight.
I disagree. I think they ultimately gave us something. I think they ultimately gave us something that we hadn't seen in a Spider-Man movie, which was, him from a teenage point of view.
It depends. They gave us a kid. They gave us a teenager. But basically, the first Spider-Man, he was still in high school.
Sure.
He was. He
just looked old.
Yeah. He was 40 by the second
exactly,
one.
Right.
He was
like
already.
Nick Perry in Beverly Hills
he was already.
90210.
He was on Social Security by Spider-Man 2.
Right. Exactly.
But the first one, he was in high school. He just looked old.
Yeah.
And there was some casting mistakes. I don't know about that Flash Thompson in the first in the Tobey Maguire Spider-Man.
Yeah.
There were some issues with it, wonky, but. Basically, you're not going to top that movie.
Sure.
For Spider-Man. That captured Spider-Man.
I think Spider-Man 2 is a better movie.
No, I'm not talking about
I got you.
The story in and of itself.
I got you.
I'm just saying, if you're going to, for an origin of Spider-Man, to capture Spider-Man in a film, that film did it. Those 3 films did it.
Yeah.
Even the third one, which is, and I admit, not a great movie.
No, it's not very good.
But that's studio meddling and stuff like that, if you want to parse. But, so, like I said, I had seen it before. I've seen that mentality before. It's sad that Marvel did it, because everyone thinks that Marvel's a kind of bub. But again, just like The Force Awakens, it obviously worked because everybody went nuts for it.
Well, Jeff Gomez actually commented on our Facebook page, and he had said that he loves that it's far more important that the movie Spider-Man: Homecoming's core target audience loves it, which is 9 to 21, based on what we're seeing across social media. So,
like the prequels.
Well, no, because they didn't. There was no social media back then.
Yeah, but the kids loved it.
Yes, the little tiny kids.
Yes. And that's all it was meant for.
Like our interns, who were like tiny kids when this movie came out.
And now they're adults. Imagine that.
I know. Well, I would not call our interns adults. They're getting.
I treat them like adults, unlike you.
You just don't talk to them.
Yeah. That's how I treat them like adults. That's how I treat most adults.
I guess that pretty much explains everything right there. And that's something that. Again, you can tell it was definitely. I think one of the reviews, and I actually knocked this down, that we've never seen a character as mythical as Spider-Man portrayed in such a user-friendly, sanded-down after-school special way.
Oh,
he actually said that as a compliment, though. See, to me, it's almost like
that terrible hipster jargon.
Yeah.
We've never seen this before. This is a thing that we've never seen. You've never seen it, and that's A. B. Did we need to see it? Is that something that we needed?
Yeah.
Is that something that Spider-Man needed, or did you just dig that up to give it as a hit point?
Sure.
We've seen everything that Spider-Man has to offer. We just want to see more Spider-Man.
Right.
But see, that's the problem with the modern movies. Is everything kind of has, like you're saying about the Wonder Woman thing, everything has to be like an event. So instead of just going to see the movie and go, oh, all right, that was Spider-Man. And he did some spidery stuff, and he stuck to a couple of walls, he sprayed some web on people, he punched the bad guy, I got what I wanted. Instead of that, everyone's like, well, do we really need this? Does that need to happen?
Well, it happens after there's 6 or 5 attempts at a character or 3 reboots, if you kind of look at it that way.
Yes, it does.
Wayne Peterkin actually wrote in, my biggest gripe with the movie was he hated Stark's presence in it and caused more tomfoolery. Daquan Kane, I named that as an issue in my review also, so you can go to Daquan's Facebook page. He posted a review. I didn't mind him there, but there was too much of him there. In general, I think that the argument of he had to do this, they had to do this, is something that is valid. I think that the Star Wars analogy, though, Star Wars had a lot more pressure on it coming back because of the prequels than Spider-Man did coming back because Marvel itself. I think this Spider-Man movie had the luxury of, well, now we're doing a Marvel Spider-Man movie, and there's an instant like boosting that kind of goes along with being a Marvel movie that people kind of automatically expect. Okay, well, you're going to be good then, which could put pressure on it. Could put pressure on it, but at the same time, at least you're coming in and saying, boy, they haven't made a bad movie yet, so chances are this thing's going to be good. My problem with it, though, is it was like every other Marvel movie. It was another Avengers movie. Civil War was not a Captain America movie. It was an Avengers movie. Spider-Man, this was a young Avengers movie. I'm done. That to me is.
Well, that's you though.
That's why I have my.
No, I know.
That's the repetition that I personally am kind of sick of because. It was great. You can toe the line.
But you're basically saying that you're tired of the superhero format in general.
I'm tired of this building, and Captain America actually said at the end credit scene, right? Like, this patience, just have patience. We're building towards something. And obviously it was a veiled reference to Infinity War, which is coming. I'm almost sitting there saying, they've been building toward this Infinity War now longer than they had to. I think that in general, you have Captain... like, the original... phase 1 was we need to do an Iron Man movie, a Captain America movie, Hulk, we just kind of know who Hulk is, and that's enough, and we have to do a Thor movie, and it's going to build toward Avengers. It was 3 movies, successive over 3 years, building to this 4th or whatever, 2 years, whatever the case is. Awesome, and it paid off. Now it's like, okay, now we're building toward this huge thing. They even set this story 8 years in the future from the first Avengers movie to say that they're building toward this Infinity War, and it's great. It's great that they have this vision, and it's great that they're trying to execute this vision. But I'm kind of running out of patience now. I'm almost sitting there saying what you're saying. I don't even think we needed this movie. Having Spider-Man in Civil War would have been enough to build toward Avengers Infinity War. I feel like everything's building toward that, and we didn't get a Spider-Man movie. We got a Spider-Man is training to be in the Avengers movie, and that's my big thing.
I think the payoff at the end, the way it ended, it's kind of kind of a referendum on that build up, because he's been, if you look at it microcosmically, he was building up to that particular thing.
Yeah.
Right? He was building up to his own Infinity War at the end.
Sure.
And then at the end he was like, you know, I want to be my own man.
Do you know what else is building up? You know what else has been building up?
I have no idea what you're going to tell me.
Game of Thrones. Game of Thrones has been building up.
That is the ugliest segue I've ever heard in my life.
It wasn't,
It was a terrible transition.
Southtown girls won't blow you away, but you know that they'll stay. There you go. That's my hold steady reference for the night.
I'm sorry, everyone at home.
When we come back, we got David Crow from Den of Geek is gonna hype us up.
Excellent.
Because we got Game of Thrones coming back this weekend.
Yes, it is.
Get psyched.
It's a big deal.
Get psyched when we come back.
You're listening to the Talking Alternative Network.
If you have an interest in marijuana, you want to know about marijuana, law, policy, and culture, then feel free to join me, Joseph A. Bondi, every Friday at 11 o'clock in the morning on my show In the Know 420 on TalkingAlternative.com.
Legalize the earth to continue to resist the passage of this necessary legislation. Hi, this is Rob Kay.
And I'm Callie Alpert.
And we're hosts of The Rob and Callie Show. Are you looking for a show that talks about real stuff like life, love, the pursuit of being yourself?
Then you have come to the right place, because we cover topics ranging from chivalry to gratitude to your relationship with money and everything in between.
So listen to us on The Rob and Callie Show, Tuesdays, 8 to 9 o'clock Eastern Standard Time on talkradio.nyc.
Talking Alternative Radio, 24 hours a day.
The superpower you wish you had?
Teleportation.
Oh, there you go.
I always go flight. I'm always like, I want to fly.
You teleport, you don't need to fly.
Right.
You'd never be late for work.
That's what you would do. This is why you're the co-host of a middling podcast, because you don't dream big enough.
Because I can't teleport. If I could teleport, you think I would be sitting here right now?
You'd be on time.
Secrets of the Sire.
Welcome back to Secrets of the Sire. We do this every week. We talk. I label this a comic book movie podcast because that kind of gets the whole gamut: comics, movies, TV, pop culture. Gets it all in there. Hassan hates that drop because he thinks I'm making fun of him. I love that drop because I think it just highlights how brilliantly funny I am. So I think that's really what it comes down to.
Yeah, at the expense of others. Understood. Understood.
That's the greatest expense ever.
Yes.
All right,
yes.
We are going to pause our Spider-Man Homecoming talk. There's a lot to talk about. We still haven't even gotten to the diversity casting thing that is a thing, and we talked about it online a little bit, but we're not going to get into that because we're going to welcome David Crow from Den of Geek to get us psyched up. Get us psyched! We got Game of Thrones coming back this Sunday. Like, it's weird. It feels weird. David, you there?
Hi, yes. Thank you for having me.
Well, thank you for being here. Does it feel weird that it's in July? There's something off about having Game of Thrones on in the summertime.
I actually agree with that. Living in New York, I always have associated over the years now Game of Thrones coming with spring.
This is right.
It's finally getting out of winter, ironically. But yeah, now winter's coming in July.
But we're equally excited though, regardless, right? I mean, this is we're building toward the end. We're getting somewhere. I mean, I feel like everyone's excited, but again, I think the timing of when the show has come back is kind of throwing that off a little bit. But we're all going to be glued Sunday night, right? I mean, there's no question.
Yeah, I imagine so. I think the show has reached the point where even the marketing is aware that the excitement is so high right now that they can give you very little, and that half the television viewing population in the world is going to turn on to HBO Sunday night.
One of our old coworkers, Jeff Hannes, who used to work at Wizard, even posted on Facebook, "You get my money for 3 months, HBO. You get my money for 3 months." So, I mean, it's like even people just...
Actually, HBO said back, "No, we got you the whole year. You're only getting your money's worth for 3 months."
This is right. So,
well, this season's only 7 episodes, so I imagine it was very fortuitous to premiere it in the middle of the season, so I believe it'll be able to just cross over 3 months, 3 calendar months by the end of its
7 weeks ago
7-episode run this year.
Oh, so HBO, you clever, clever beast. David, did we ever think we'd get to this point where the show has spun so far past the book now? I mean, last season was kind of, it still had some aspects to the books in them, but for the most part, I mean, there was some storylines that did make it into
aspects of it,
right? Aspects, but this season is going to be completely like there's no point of reference.
Well, yes, well, actually, I think for the most part, last season was entirely past the books. I think there were some very limited elements that they carried over from the 5th book that they just didn't bother adapting. until the 6th season. But yes, I believe this season we're well past the books, and more than that, we're actually headed towards the end game. From everything that has been said in the press, Season 7, even though it's truncated, is going to be all about ramping up both the visual spectacle as well as the forward momentum, because this is the penultimate season. This is really the end game is beginning. We are now seeing everything kind of conflate into very local areas. They killed off like 20 characters last season, and it's now becoming a very small board game, as it were, for the last 2 seasons.
Sure. Now, I have a theory here, and this is my theory, that George R.R. Martin deliberately is holding back the books so he can test the waters with the TV show now. The TV show has reached the point where he's like, I can basically put out whatever I want in that, or I could see, what my ending was supposed to be, see how it goes, and then I can adjust on the fly.
I think that's
I'll say this. I'm actually very curious how much of his ending they're going to use, because we do know that since about season 2 or 3, somewhere around there, George sat them down and he gave them the end games for most of the major characters, almost every major character, which, intriguingly, we know that they have to have strayed a little bit, because they're very clear. And for example, in season 6, we found out what happened to Hodor. And they were very clear that George told them that, and that is a very brilliant George R.R. Martin twist. The character everyone enjoys laughing at, making fun of. Oh, his name and his handicap comes because his rich lord was playing God in time travel and broke the stable boy's brain. There's something very British about that. and so then, but that's very George R.R., while they very clearly implied that the Green Trial, as it were, when the great prologue to the season finale last year where Cersei wiped out half of the cast of King's Landing, that was their invention. So I'm sure that the High Sparrow was doomed from the start, but it's intriguing to wonder if they kind of went their own way with maybe the fates of Marjorie or Loras Tyrell.
But that's the thing.
Are they going to stick with the ending George gave them?
Right, that's the thing.
They seem to be blurring the lines a little bit in interviews now, and no one seems to have asked them that straight on.
Like how great is George R.R. Martin sitting here? He can basically do whatever he wants, because at the end of the day, we're never going to know. We're going to know that he gave an outline, but what those final 2 books are going to be can be completely different. And he could be like, well, yeah, they kind of strayed, I told them they should have done this, I mean, not that he would. I'm not that he's not going to badmouth anybody, but I'm just saying he can basically kind of go in any direction now, and he's basically protected because the TV show now is so far past the books.
Then again, he's been writing this for 20 years, over 20 years. So if the TV show actually does follow through for most of his outcomes, his wad's already shot.
Yeah.
So he's been working 20 years to get to the end of a book that everyone's going to know the end before he gets there.
But that's the thing, he can change it. God, David?
It's not easy to change some of these things sometimes.
Sure, he's a writer.
Oh, yeah, just throw it away.
Dance.
Well, he seems to have run himself a bit into a corner, it seems, because, I mean, he wrote the first 3 books, and I'm sure someone out there will correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe he wrote the first 3 books in the span of about 9 years.
Yeah.
And he's been working for 8 years, or going on 8 years, on the 6th book. So
yeah, I mean,
I do believe we will see that book. I'm hopeful we'll see the 7th, but I'm sure we'll see the 6th.
No, I think we will too, but I think it's going to be long after the show is over. What about the big, last season was really big with confirming rumors that fans of the books had kind of known for a long time, Jon Snow's lineage, things that were hinted at for a long time. What are the big rumors? What are the big rumors that you think are going to be confirmed this season? One example being, there's a rumor that Tyrion is actually half Targaryen. Do you think that's going to come to fruition? I mean, this is total speculation, but just kind of where do you see the tea leaves going?
The Tyrion half Targaryen theory. No, I don't believe that is accurate. For the main reason being that while we never actually knew his mother, neither did Tyrion, for the record. I think the tragedy, one of the many tragedies in great aspects of Tywin Lannister, who I think is one of the better characters in the whole story, is that he very much loved his wife, but he resents, he views his children as props, as pawns.
Sure.
And he never could see them as flesh and blood, which is a tragic aspect. I think the point of Tyrion Lannister is that he is his father's son. There's a line which I wish they kept in the show that's in the book when Tyrion shoots him on the privy, as it were.
Sure.
He says something like, "You're not my son," and Tyrion's line in the book is, "I am your son. I'm you, writ small." And I think, or maybe he actually said writ large, but the point was that Tyrion was the true heir to Tywin's throne as to Casterly Rock, but Tywin could never see it.
Sure.
So no, I don't think that I think they've pulled the surprise, quote unquote, lineage about Jon Snow, so I don't think they're going to do that with Tyrion.
Okay. What's your favorite episode so far in the whole series?
That's interesting. I would say personally, for me, I would say it might go back to season 2, which wasn't my favorite season.
Okay.
But I really loved Blackwater, which was
great.
The penultimate episode in that season, where they did an episode entirely around a battle, which they've done several times since then. And while it did not have the budget or spectacle of, say, Battle of the Bastards last year, the reason I thought Blackwater was so good is they had a very cinematic eye from director Neil Marshall, who has done a number of really good movies. And I thought that it was so focused on how each character is reacting to the battle. It's almost like, it almost reminds me of a play in the sense that there's this great violence, but you're seeing as the battle unfolds how it's individually affecting everyone in real time during it. So I thought that was a terrific hour.
It's amazing. A lot of people tell me season 2 is not that good, but for me, season 1 is the. And look, we're talking about our favorite pizza here. All pizza is good. I mean, we're not, in no way am I saying like season 1 was a bad season, but those first 5 episodes, for me, not having read the books, was tough to get through. Like the first episode, was obviously intriguing, but then the next 4, it's just setup for the most part. Season 2, though, I binged that in like a weekend. I mean, it was like Saturday. Great. I'm not leaving my couch. I couldn't turn away. I caught up on season 1 and 2, and then started watching religiously after season 3 started. Season 2, I think it's a bad rap when all is said and done.
I don't think you're wrong. I do think. I actually had a similar experience. I read the books, but only after the first season. I liked the first season, then I read the books and fell in love with the world. And by the time season 2 came around, I was well versed in it. And I think that they left so much good material out of season 2 because it was a great book that they had to condense into 10 episodes.
Right.
I think it's the reason that they broke the third book into seasons 3 and 4. But I'll say, to not just be a bad guy who's talking about books versus show, I think the first 4 seasons are narratively the tightest. I think because they're not having to make up as much, and I think Martin's very good at building a tapestry where every action has repercussions. And I think that narratively, even when they made changes, it's because they knew where they were going. And I thought the first 4 seasons were a little cleaner like that.
No, I agree 100%. Talk to us about Den of Geek. Talk to us how people can find you. And you guys are preparing for Comic-Con, huh?
Oh, yeah. I'm actually flying down to San Diego on Saturday, which I'm very much looking forward to. I will be there. I will actually be covering Game of Thrones. I'm sure that they will be baiting on theories. I don't know about Tyrion, but, for example, they're very big on pushing the Jon versus Sansa storyline, which I think is probably not going to happen. But, we're going to be there covering it, and we will have Den of Geek magazine, which we will be distributing for free for 30,000 copies. Wow. I don't think I can say yet who's on the cover.
Okay.
I think fans will be very pleased when they see it.
We have a rule here. We don't like to get our guests fired. So don't. But we also do like when you break,
more of a guideline.
When you break, we also like breaking big news, and then we can say like it was done.
I wouldn't be fired. I would just get slightly reprimanded. So you could try to get me to say it.
Well, we like to be polite as possible here, which is probably why we're a middling podcast. We should be more controversial. David, thank you so much for joining us. Where can people find you online?
All right. Yes, I'm on Twitter at The Crow's Nest. And you can also find me at Den of Geek, where I'll be sure to talk about plenty of Game of Thrones and all the other nerdy movies I'm sure we talk about.
David, thank you so much for joining us. When we come back, Wonder Woman Sex Cauldron. Yeah, we're going there.
You're listening to the Talking Alternative Network.
Are you into comics, movies, and pop culture at large? What about music and TV? Then you're in for a treat. This is Michael Dolce, your host on TalkingAlternative.com. I've been professionally writing comic books, screenplays, and music articles for almost 15 years. Catch my show, Secrets of the Sire, at its new primetime slot, Wednesdays, 8 p.m. Eastern Time, and get the inside scoop on the pop culture universe you love to talk about. For more info, go to secretsofthesire.com.
Hello, this is Mark Torres.
And Pronto Comics own Dominic Sperano.
And listen to our show, It Came From the Radio, right here on talkradio.nyc, every Wednesday, 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, where we talk about entertainment, movies,
comic books, and other news.
So make sure you check us out. That's right here, 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, every Wednesday, talkradio.nyc.
TalkingAlternative.com.
Can a man actually get up with any kind of macho manliness and say Twilight was a good film franchise and or movie? That's like the guy wearing the pink shirt, right? Like he feels completely confident.
But men can rock the pink.
Wait!
Sam the engineer is wearing pink right now.
I just pulled a Hassan.
Secrets of the Sire.
I want to thank our guest, David Crow. This is Secrets of the Sire, a comic book movie podcast. We talk about comics, movies, and TV, a whole bunch of stuff. Now, Hassan, I mean, you said you had some issues with some of the factual things he was saying. I got to be honest, I thought it was pretty spot on.
His stuff was tight, but I mean, it hasn't been 8 years since the Dance with Dragons came out.
You need to be more controversial.
No, I'm not
Fire back, my man. Fire back.
No, he's all right.
So we have some exciting things coming up next week, though. By the way, I just want to jump ahead real quick because he mentioned Comic-Con. We are going to be doing our Comic-Con preview next week. We're going to have House of Cards actor Kevin Kilner going to be coming on. He was also in Dollhouse with Joss Whedon, so we can get some Joss Whedon talk. He was in some episodes of Quantico. He's been in a whole bunch of things. It's been pretty good. We may also debut, because I was contemplating how to do this, you being on camera next week.
Oh, no.
I'm contemplating an angle, a specific camera angle where we don't have to move.
I'm going to go get some sun then. Get ready.
Wait, what does that mean?
Huh? Don't read into it. Don't read into it.
Yeah.
Just keep going.
That was,
class.
That was very racially
Have some
insensitive.
class. See, there it is.
Yeah,
now, see, you ruined it. It was a subtle nod to it now, and you just kind of hit it over the head with a hammer. That's called gilding the lily. You hung a lantern on that. Don't hang a lantern on subtle jokes.
This is not Monday, Wednesday. Don't use big words and phrases like gilding the lily. What the hell is that?
Those are writing terms, man. You're a writer.
If this was a Monday, Wednesday, then I would have known what that means.
Nobody knows what this Monday, Wednesday thing is.
Sure they do. If they're checking us out on iTunes.
Yeah.
And downloading our podcast.
That's a segue.
iTunes stuff. Whoa! Look at the sky. Zing. Burn. You got me. You got me. Now everyone has to go to iTunes to know exactly what we're talking about.
Baby.
That might have been the best thing you've ever said, period. Like on the show. I mean, we're not even talking about like your opinions. They're okay. Segue. Boom. Yeah. That's where the money's made, my man.
You know what? And for that, now I'm going to end every sentence with boom.
Yeah.
Boom.
When you do that, whether or not it's an actual accurate statement or not, you are dropping the mic.
That's right.
You are placing yourself in a position of authority.
Boom. And that's what I do.
Exactly.
Boom.
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 All right. That's enough. That's old already.
It's my favorite time here. We go spinning the racks, bringing you the most fantastical pop culture news and stories. I'm going to add stories in there because
you got stories.
This is not a news item. This is a story item.
Boom story
called Spinning the Racks.
Spin the rack, spin that rack.
Boom.
You should edit it in boom.
We gotta cut that a little bit so that it just happens right away, and so there's like this pregnant pause.
I was thinking the exact same thing.
Boom.
Boom. Oh my God.
We're in lock. We're synced.
Holy crap.
Wow. This show doesn't work when we agree.
So I was watching. Did you catch the History Channel Superheroes Decoded? Did you ever catch that?
Oh, years ago, right?
No, it was on a couple months ago. It was like a new thing.
Obviously not.
All right, so they basically So, it speaks to how far behind I am in my DVR that it's been sitting there for 3 months or so.
Yeah, okay.
And I finally got to it. It's only
Did they
2
decode
episodes.
the superheroes out?
They just basically pandered to the superhero craze and showed all the clips from the movies.
That's kind of why I don't watch those things.
One of the other things they did, which kind of bothered me, was they kind of retold a lot of comic book history, but basically through today's eyes. You know, saying like the motivations of this. Well, this is obviously talking about diversity and immigration and this and that, and it's like, well, yeah, no, X-Men. Yeah, X-Men was clearly done, you know, as a you know,
metaphor.
Right. End of the show, Monday, Wednesday. Go check us on iTunes, itunes.com. Look up Secrets of the South.
We both can't suffer Monday, Wednesday, though. So.
You know, but for the most part, they really said, like, and Vietnam was such a troubling war, and it caused, you know, Stan Lee to come up with this idea. And I'm like, I don't really think he kind of came up with that. Meanwhile, they glossed over, like, Watchmen, which was an actual representative, actual reflection of the era. They didn't talk about that.
But Watchmen wasn't sexy because that movie is disregarded.
Right.
It's not regarded with
so,
with
there was a lot of the comic book geek in me who knows comic book history to be like, you know, you're kind of bending this history to.
Yeah.
But one thing I didn't know.
Uh-oh.
And this is what we're going to be talking about here.
Revelation
was the creator of Wonder Woman, who is I'm going to get his.
I was going to
name
mention
here.
this the other, but it didn't seem to fit in with the narrative of what you were talking about because you were all.
Had I known this, I would have actually. Psychologist William Marston. So apparently he was a polyamorous, and he was part of a sex cult, and that's how he came up with the idea of Wonder Woman.
That's why she's sort of, you know, undressed.
Yeah.
Scantily clad.
But this is like in
the
40s.
American flag.
So this guy, I actually looked it up, and theatlantic.com had a whole feature on the hidden history of Wonder Woman. So apparently, the creator, he wasn't exactly a feminist, and clearly, they say he was clearly a racist when he created the character, but it was built on women empowering and pro-queer ideals. Again, I hate using terms like that to define things that did not have a definition back in the 40s, but they're kind of applying it. They're applying today's terms to what he was doing.
Well, because today's terms are more expedient.
But what he was doing was banging 2 chicks, basically, is what he was doing. And he created the ultimate female, like, empowerment icon.
So he was, you know, he was a progressive.
Is Wonder Woman feminist? Yes, the Amazon princess is often seen as an icon of female empowerment, but she also wears that swimsuit and the original comics from the 40s.
Everything is kind of twisted, isn't it?
Yeah.
Because you got this really great feminist icon that was, you know, devised by this kind of unenlightened racist, sex addict, right?
Yeah.
You got X-Men, right, which is supposed to be like a metaphor. Basically, the greatest,
that is absolutely a metaphor.
The greatest metaphor is made is Dr. Martin Luther King versus Malcolm X, right?
And yes,
but 90% of the X-Men are white. So there's always this little.
There's
always something a little sketchy about the depiction.
Ironically, they talk about that in the show.
Mm-hmm.
They talk about the Malcolm X versus Martin Luther King, and then you can't help but see like big bald Xavier and like really old white guy Magneto, and
with white flowing hair.
Right. Yeah. I mean, there is. You're absolutely right.
Yeah. So there's always a little. There's always a little bit of a little bit of kind of ambiguously, ambiguous wrongness. That is ingrained. It's in the DNA of this stuff.
Yeah,
and that's what the panic of the corrective panic is all about, because a lot of this stuff, the foundation of this stuff, is mixed very badly.
Yeah, I mean, it's so funny. So Jill Lepore's just released Secret. No, not just released. It's been out for a few years now, but apparently didn't do very well.
Really?
2014, The Secret History of Wonder Woman, where she addresses the fact that psychologist William Marston and his family, where actually he was a polyamorous who had children by both his wife and his live-in lover and former graduate student, and apparently they were in like a sex cult. They were doing.
Well done.
I mean,
did they kill people?
They didn't kill people. Lepore described
in there.
Huntley, Byrne, Holloway, and Marston. So there's even more. There's like more people that were part. Marjorie Holloway was so my God, he was just. What a guy!
Yeah,
1940s,
and you got this other thing. You got this. You got Wonder Woman.
Clearly, I am highly jealous of this.
You got Wonder.
And he created Wonder Woman. Like Jesus Christmas! Like terrible. He just did everything.
That's terrible. But you got Wonder Woman on the other side, which is really positive. Icon, right? Which was everybody, young women all over the place are imbuing all their hopes and dreams in there, and it has these origins.
Yeah.
These really questionable origins.
Huntley, Byrne, Holloway, and Marston all participated in what Lepore describes as a sex cult in 1925 to 26. So, I mean, holy cow.
You're hung up on this.
At the home of Marston's Aunt Carolyn. Good old Aunt Carolyn. Just hosting those sex parties.
She's, she's a very understanding woman.
Participants celebrated female sexual power, dominance, submission, and love by forming love units consisting of multiple partners.
We get the intricacies of this. You're kind of hung up on that.
I really am hung up on this.
So you don't really want to discuss the duality of this stuff. You just want to talk about the sex cult.
If this was a Monday Wednesday, I would talk about the duality of things. Okay. But this is a Wednesday.
That's a bad segue.
That's not a bad. That's segueing into anything.
That's a bad button. What you tried to do. You tried to wrap it all up with a button, but it really wasn't done.
No. I'm literally. That is my reasoning for me not being as sharp as I normally am. We're not actually.
Because it's Monday, Wednesday?
Because it's not a Monday, Wednesday. If it was a Monday, Wednesday, I'd be sharp. I'd be sharper. But instead, my Wednesday brain is just all about the sex cult.
But we do this every Wednesday. So you're saying you're going to be like
Eastern,
this every Wednesday.
TalkingAlternative.com. Next week.
That's a setup.
It's Comic-Con season.
Boom.
And who better than House of Cards actor Kevin Kilner is going to help us preview the festivities. We're going to talk about his time on House of Cards, Quantico, Dollhouse. He's been on a whole bunch of stuff. Really excited to have him on. And we're going to talk more Comic-Con 2017. Yeah. What should we be looking at? What's the big stuff going on? We got a whole bunch of stuff going on. Thank you for joining us tonight, and we will see you next week.
You're listening to the Talking Alternative Network.
Who do you want to connect with?
Are you an entrepreneur or intrapreneur looking to build your following?
Welcome to our show.
Follow Me Friday with Joan
and Priya.
Tune in every Friday at noon Eastern
on talkradio.nyc.
We're your digital connectors. Woo woo!
Hey, all you crazy listeners. Looking to boost your business? Why not advertise on Talking Alternative with very reasonable rates? Interested? Simply email at info@talkingalternative.com.
Are you into comics, movies, and pop culture at large? What about music and TV? Then you're in for a treat. This is Michael Dolce, your host on talkingalternative.com. I've been professionally writing comic books, screenplays, and music articles for almost 15 years. Catch my show, Secrets of the Sire, at its new primetime slot, Wednesdays, 8 p.m. Eastern Time, and get the inside scoop on the pop culture universe you love to talk about. For more info, go to secretsofthesire.com.
You're listening to the Talking Alternative Network. at www.talkingalternative.com. Now, broadcasting 24 hours a day. Talking Alternative.
Hi, this is Rob Kay.
And I'm Callie Alpert.
And we're hosts of The Rob and Callie Show. Are you looking for a show that talks about real stuff like life, love, the pursuit of being yourself?
Then you have come to the right place, because we cover topics ranging from chivalry to gratitude to your relationship with money and everything in between.
So listen to us on The Rob and Callie Show, Tuesdays, 8 to 9 o'clock Eastern Standard Time on talkradio.nyc.
Are you a conscious co-creator? Are you on a quest to raise your vibration and your consciousness? I'm Sam Leibowitz, your conscious consultant, and on my show, The Conscious Consultant Hour, Awakening Humanity, we will touch upon all these topics and more. Listen live at our new time on Thursdays at 12 noon Eastern Time. That's The Conscious Consultant Hour, Awakening Humanity, Thursdays, 12 noon on talkradio.nyc.
You're listening to the Talking Alternative Network.